Welcome back to the Habits and Humor podcast. Today we are talking business. Today we are talking reality. Today we are talking about how you can make a difference by being honest and being ethical and being moral. But when you do those things, they don't just affect you. They don't just affect your family. They affect your customers. They affect the people who live around you, your communities, and far beyond that. And today we're talking about this because this is how Tammy does her business. Tammy, what's your last name? I forgot it.
Johnston, Johnston.
Tammy Johnston. This is how Tammy Johnston runs her business. This is how she lives her life. And she's a fabulous example of how you can be both successful and good in the world. So welcome to the show, Tammy. We're so happy to have you here.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here, Susie.
Yes. So tell us, we know a little bit about you. We know that you are, I love your nickname. I'm going to have you tell us what your nickname is and what your clients told you or what your clients named you as.
Well, my clients name me, and I've kind of just owned it because it's very, very accurate. They call me the hold your hand and kick your ass business coach.
I think that's awesome that you can be both holding their hand and the other way.
Well, yeah, you have to be. Like, just think about it. Okay, all the best parents, especially the best moms, they love their kids and all of that stuff, but they have standards and they call them out on their stuff and they make sure that they're getting things done. If you're all one or the other, then you're going to have a problem. There has to be the balance. You have to love the people in your world, but you also have to hold them and yourself to a higher standard and help them get over all the lies and the horse hockey that they're telling themselves so that they become a better version of themselves.
I love that. I think that's so important that you have that balance of both pushing yourself and loving yourself, or both pushing your kids and loving your kids at the same time. You have to have both. It's not that just you can have both, but that you absolutely need both.
There must. It's two sides. It's two sides of the coin. You can't have one without the other.
I agree with that. How do you use this in your life? Like, how do you make sure that you have both? How do you not go one side or the other?
Well, it's caring about people and seeing what they're capable of and then helping them get over all the stuff that's holding them back. And sometimes, rarely, is it an external factor. Most of the time, what's holding us back are the horrible voices going on in the back of our head that's coming from programming that we got as kids and school and family and media and different stuff, and getting over that. And sometimes we can get over it on our own, but a lot of the time we need to have loving, caring, supportive people that have been on the journey themselves that can show you the way.
So have you been on that journey? How do you get your clients to get past those barriers, and what experience do you have in doing that in your own life?
Well, so I've been in financial services for close to 30 years now. I've been running my own business for over 20. Being a human being, I've been through an awful lot of challenges and difficulties, starting from when I was a kid, like everybody else. And I'm just always working on, okay, how do I take the lessons, usually painful, that I've had to go through myself, and how can I help and guide my clients and my friends and my family to go through them themselves and hopefully collect fewer bruises than I did.
Hopefully collect fewer bruises than I did. I like that part. I think that that's such a valuable piece of what we go through is once we've been through it, we now know how to help somebody else go through it just a little bit easier than we did, just a little bit better than we did.
People learn through pain and mistakes and failures. And I'm a big fan of learning from others rather than having to make all of the pain and mistakes and failures on my own. Let's learn from other people so I can make new ones.
Exactly. That's absolutely right. If you know that someone has been through it already, you don't have to go through it because you know how they came out. So that balance that you create in business, you also create that as a person. I know that you are an introvert and you do sort of an extrovert lifestyle or an extrovert business? How do you balance those two things? Tell us about that experience.
And that's a big one. So most people, when they talk to me and I tell them I'm an introvert, they're going, there's no way in the world you're an introvert. Like, you teach and you speak and you're on podcasts and you do all this stuff. How can you be an introvert? I said, being an introvert, like, if I'm talking about stuff that I know about and I'm passionate about, I have no problem whatsoever, like, being on stage in front of thousands of people, all of this stuff. What makes me an introvert is I need to have sufficient alone time. I love people, but they make me tired. They make me tired. And there's few things that make me happier than being alone in my office and just having like my music or my audiobooks going, or curled up with a book. And that is how I recharge. And so my husband and I, we've been married, we're coming up on 25 years here in a couple of weeks, and my daughter's 19. And one of my favorite things to do would be to send them to go visit the family for a weekend. And my in-laws were asking me one time, they're going, how come it's very, very rare that you come? Like, do you not like us or something? No, I won the in-law lottery. My in-laws are fabulous. But I said, I love your son and I love your granddaughter. And in order for that to stay happening, they need to go away on a somewhat regular basis. So that
I love it.
when I would see them out the door after like 3 hours of hectic trying to get them out the door, and I'd spend like 45 minutes picking up after them, because it never seems to fail. Like, yes, I'm putting away magazines and dishes and all of this stuff. As soon as I've got my house done and I'm going, I don't have to see anybody else for like 3 days. This is heaven. And then by the time they come back, I'm like, okay, now I can handle you people again.
I've missed you. Yes. You just need enough time to miss them.
Yes.
That's great. I think it's awesome that you know that about yourself. That's a huge part of personal development. Is so often we chase somebody else's way of doing it, or somebody else, oh, this person, this works for them, so that's what I have to do. But it doesn't generally work for you unless you know how to personalize it to who you are. So
Well,
how do
yeah,
we
you can
come to
always
like
get different ideas, but as when I'm teaching my classes and stuff, there's only two things that are absolutely guaranteed in life: death and taxes. I can't tell you when you're going to die. That would put me in a different line of work. I can help you legally pay less in taxes, but everything else, it depends. Your situation could have quite a few similarities to mine, but it's still going to be different. So you can take in different bits of information from all over the place, but you have to find the stuff that works for you.
So how do we do that? How do we take in whatever all the information is? You know, I mean, you telling us like, this is how you recharge. For me, I need people. That's how I recharge. I go out and do things.
Oh, you're one of those.
I'm one of those. Yes. So, I mean, we obviously can't do both of those things. It's the same thing in health. People are like, you have to do this in order to lose weight, but actually you have to do this, and they're polar opposites. So how do we navigate that? How do we decide, okay, which one is for us? How do we know?
Well, the big thing is becoming self-aware and learning to ask the questions. And then the other thing is slowing down enough to evaluate. So one of the things that I teach my clients all the time in business, after everything, do what I call the autopsy. Autopsy is just 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? What do I want to try next time? And most people, because they're so busy and they're just running around all over, they're like a ball at a pinball machine. They're just reacting to whatever wall they hit, and they're like, okay. And then they get to the end of their day and they're bruised and exhausted and they haven't accomplished anything. Where if you slow down a bit and evaluate, like you said, what worked, what didn't, what do I want to try next time? So you want to talk about losing weight. And like you said, some people will say you absolutely need to do this, but okay, I've done that and that didn't work for me. I did something else that you told me I shouldn't do, and that actually worked for me. And that's normal for weight loss, for relationships, for business, for all sorts of things. But if you never slow down enough to evaluate, okay, how is this actually working for me? How do I feel? What are the results that I'm getting? What are the people that I care about? And here's the most important thing, that actually know what in the world it is that we're doing are saying about it. Because most people, especially in business, they get their advice, solicited or not, from people that have no idea what it's like to be in the arena. And sometimes, a lot of the time, they're actually trying to help you out. But I'm going, if I try to teach you how to play mahjong and I'm giving you feedback on that, that's not going to be really good because I have no idea what in the world it is that I'm doing. If you want to learn how to play mahjong, you have to be getting your advice, your feedback and stuff from people who know how to play the game. And most people, like I said, they're getting their advice, solicited or not, from people who are not in the arena, do not know what they're talking about. So they can't give you good advice.
How do you tell? That's a big thing that I struggle with is there's a lot of people out there that claim to be in the arena and they they look like they're in the arena. That's the beauty of social media. You can look like anything you want. How do you tell if those people actually have the experience? Like what questions do you ask to get the reality out and see, okay, does this person's advice actually apply to me because they know what they're talking about? Or is this just smoke?
Oh yeah, that's a big one. And like I said, especially with social media, because people can put together, like you see how people post their pictures and their videos, and they spend an entire day putting together like this 5-second shot and they're showing their highlight reels and stuff like that. I want to be talking, what have you actually done that shows me? Like we'll talk about health here for a while, and there's a lot of really wonderful well qualified trained people like personal trainers and stuff like that. But one of the things that if I'm looking for a personal trainer, I want somebody who's actually going to understand me. Like they might be wonderful, but I'm really not going to be paying much attention to some 20-year-old who has never had any issues, has always been perfectly fit and all this stuff. Give me like a 35-year-old man or woman that's had some experience themselves, had some experience working with clients. Like show me your results. Like, do you actually understand where I am and what I am trying to do and what are my challenges and stuff like that? Like an experience, it's not the only thing, but it is an important thing. Like, have you actually ever been in the arena, or have you just read about it or watched a couple of videos and stuff? Like, show me your bruises that you have earned.
Yeah, you're spot on with that. I think there's a lot, especially I'm not going to drop any names or anything, but there's several companies out there that produce personal trainers like mice reproduction. Like it's crazy that they're not certified and they have no education, but because they lost weight themselves, they've suddenly become qualified to teach other people how to do it. And if the other people that they're teaching have their exact same circumstances, their same body type and their same metabolism, awesome. Like, yes, these processes are definitely going to work for you. But if you're teaching anyone that is other than yourself how to do these things, it's not going to work. And it's going to be very, very frustrating for both you and for them.
And you could do damage.
And exactly. That's exactly right. There's several companies that they just make me so crazy because they produce so many injuries and they produce so much frustration and so much pain and heartache because they're unqualified to teach what they're claiming to be qualified to teach.
Oh, preach it, girl. One of the things that I find, because everybody and their dog likes to claim that they're a business coach, and you go onto social media and stuff and everybody's this and pay me $10,000 for my Facebook ads course, or pay me $15,000 and I'll teach you about Instagram and all this stuff. And I'm going, even if your course is absolutely wonderful, and like I've picked up so many clients that have gone through these people, and then they're going, well, I did what they said and I got a little bit of response, but then everything fell apart and I can't recreate it and stuff like that. And I'm going, that's because even though the course was probably absolutely amazing and worth everything, but you weren't ready for it. It's like, okay, you're a toddler learning to walk, and your Usain Bolt's sprinting coach is pitching to you going, I will teach you how to run in the Olympics. And I'm going, you're just learning to walk, dear. Like, there's nothing wrong with the coach, but you're not there. So that's why I specialize in working with solopreneurs as early in their journey as possible, like idea stage up to 2 years, to teach them all the basic foundational skills that they need to first build a business that survives, because the failure rate within the first 2 years is astronomical and it's unnecessary. most businesses fail not because there's a problem with their product or service, or heaven forbid the owner isn't working hard enough. Those are the exception. Most of them are failing because they don't know how to build a business around their skill set. They're technicians. They're really good at providing their product or service, but they don't understand systems or financials or marketing, or who they need to be taking their advice from, or how to be setting their goals, or any of, like, they don't understand the difference between cash flow and profit. And if you're missing any of those pieces, you're going to have a heck of a time. If you're missing more of the pieces, the chances of you succeeding are slim and none. You have to build the foundation first, then let's build up. And then, okay, now you're ready to go. Okay, then let's talk to that amazing Facebook ads coach, because they know what they're doing, but they don't know all the other stuff that you need to go from toddler to even thinking about running in the high school track team, let alone Olympic qualifiers.
Agreed. Yeah, I think you're right on with the whole concept. I mean, the whole thing is just about, you got to be at the place where you need, I mean, you got to have the help that you need at the place that you are. Know where you are first. I talk about often how, like, those maps at like a national park or somewhere, and they have that big map with all of the places you could go, but the arrow is pointing to you are here. Exactly right. Yep. This is where you start from. And when you know where you're starting from, all of that other stuff is useful. But if you don't know where you're starting from, then you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And so how did we figure out, like, how did you find out where you were starting from? And then where did that take you after that? What was your experience with you? I know you say that it was a little bit of an embarrassing moment in how you built your business, just because you went from, a safe place to totally out of your comfort zone. Tell us about that experience.
So I was in a job that I had grown to absolutely hate. I was not happy where I was, and I was actually looking for another job. And one more week, I would have been in another job. And I got called into my boss's office and I got fired. Oh. And he really wasn't expecting this. So rather than being upset or anything, I actually started to laugh. And this great big huge grin broke across my face, and I'm going, I'm free. I never have to work for another incompetent old man again. I am finally going to do what people have been pushing me to do for like pretty much the last 9 years. And I'm finally going to pull the trigger, and I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to go into sales. And if you don't know, my background is financial services. So one of the things that I've been doing for 29 years is life insurance. So I had to go from having a job where the nice, safe, secure, and the steady paycheck, and just dealing with the agents and stuff that come into me, to going out and selling life insurance to the general public. And no one wants to talk to you if you sell life insurance. Like they avoid you. I'd like to say like the plague, but after going through 2.5 years of COVID, that's not quite accurate enough.
It's not strong enough.
It's not strong enough, but like they avoid you. So I'm going, okay, I have to learn. I have to go from being an introvert to learning how to do outside sales on an intangible that nobody wants to talk about. So I had to learn all of those things. And it was quite the challenge. And one of the reasons why I do what I do now. So I still run my financial planning business, but I split my business into two in 2019. So KSA looks after all of the business coaching, consulting, and training, and that. And Financial Guide still looks after all the personal finance stuff. Is like, I just had to learn how to do sales. And when you are in financial services, one of the first things they say is you need to start hitting on all your friends and family, get them to buy retirement products and life insurance and all of that stuff. And I'm going, that is the absolute last thing in the world that I want to do. So I had to find different ways of doing it. And I did. And I always seem to attract the self-employed small business owners. And when I was working with them, I was finding, okay, yeah, I can help you with your personal stuff, but one of the biggest things we need to do is we need to straighten out your business so that you're bringing in some money. And started doing that. And a lot of people, there's 29 different ways that you can market your business, and most people know about 3, and they're the 3 things that they don't want to do. So
isn't that the truth?
You can always find, like you said, if there's 29 different ways that you can market your business, you only have to find like 2 or 3 that work for you, And they could be the exact, like what works for you for your marketing could be the exact opposite for me. But you go through, find out what you're good at, what you like, what you're comfortable with, and do it consistently. And then that works.
That consistency is so key and it's so crucial, but it's so hard. So how do you get your clients to
Consistency is
stay
everything.
consistent?
It's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. How do you get your clients to stay consistent? Like, what do you do that keeps them motivated to keep going in day after day?
Well, that's part of the kick your ass part. So one of the things that works for the biggest thing is accountability. When we're on our own and we're able to hide in our office or different things like that, we can lie to ourselves. So one of the things when clients are in my program is they have to submit their weekly planner to me every single week. And I go through them. And it's not for my benefit, it's for theirs. So number one, it's teaching them to be consistent with that. But when they know that I'm watching, and if I start seeing something, how come this has been on your list for like 4 weeks and I haven't seen a check mark once? What's going on here? And sometimes it's like, okay, life literally does get in the way or whatever. Or sometimes we're figuring out, okay, no, they're biting off more than they can chew. They need to break it down into a smaller step or whatever, or they're focusing on the wrong thing. But having that accountability is a really, really big one. Because like I said, when we're able to hide by ourselves, we can tell ourselves all sorts of stories and let ourselves off the hook. But when there is somebody else that cares about you, wants you to succeed, that is seeing this stuff and can help you, like, what are your hurdles? Because it's not always like, yeah, I'm just lazy and I'm procrastinating and not doing it. It's like, how is it the right goal? Is it too big? Are you focusing? Is it the wrong step in the process? You've got this goal that's step 12, but you're actually only in step 3. So maybe if we work on step 3 and 4, then we'll eventually get to 12. But having the loving guidance and support and the little bit of fear definitely helps.
Yeah, interesting. Amazing how accountability just makes you stick with it. It gives you that follow through piece, whether you have it in you or not. That's oftentimes why we need somebody else, why we need that hold your hand and beyond. So I think that you've hit on a lot of points today that are very, very helpful for whether we're doing health journey or family stuff or relationships or business or whatever it is that we're working on. If you were to give us like 3 takeaways that we can, what are the most important 3 or super valuable 3 that we could start with today to actually implement these things in our lives, what would those be?
So 3 things that I would have people do. So number 1, slow down a little bit. So I used to race cars. And one of the things that I learned through doing car racing, and it's not like NASCAR where you're just going round and around the circle, it's skill driving. It's getting around a course without knocking down cones as fast as you can. A lot of the time, in order to go faster, you actually need to slow down a little bit so that you've got the control. When I'm talking about slow down, make sure that you're putting some time into your day so that you've got white space and you've got time to evaluate. Because if all you're doing is acting and reacting, you don't have the 2 seconds it takes to slow down and going, is this the right course of action? Should I be doing something different? So first thing would be slow down a little bit. Number 2, find yourself somebody that cares about you and will hold you accountable. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a business colleague or whatever, but somebody that's in the arena that understands and will hold you accountable. And the other one, the third point, plan what you are doing with your time. So take a look. I do mine typically on Sunday night. I take a look at my calendar. I take a look at the stuff that I've got going on. I take a look at my goals that I've set. And then I'm going, okay, how am I going to be putting together my week so that I am working towards my goals, not just reacting to everything that's coming my way. And when you get into that habit, it helps you cut through a lot of the background and the distractions because you know what you're working on.
I love it. Slow down, get some accountability, and plan ahead. I think those are brilliant. That's brilliant advice. I completely agree. And I love what you're doing. I think that the way that you teach it and the way that you help people is not only useful, but incredibly effective. So thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for being here. Thanks for your advice and for your help for all of us today. you listeners, if you are if this is resonating with you, if this is something that you need more of, Tammy, tell us where we can reach out to you, or how can we get more of all the good stuff that you've got.
So you can always find me at my website, which is ksabusiness.CA. And one of the things that I offer to anybody who's, like I said, new in business or thinking about starting a business is I've created what I call the solopreneur self-assessment to help you figure out where you're strong, because everybody has some strengths, where you're weak, and we need to work on that. And the most important stuff, the stuff that you don't even know you needed to know and you're totally and completely clueless about. So it only takes you a few minutes to go through, and you can find that at ksabusiness.ca/gift. And you can download it for free. And if you wanted to book a free 15-minute consultation to see if I'm the person you're looking for to hold your hand and kick your ass, you can do that there as well.
Awesome. I love it, Tammy. Thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time on Habits and Humor.